The Noah Lyles situation is officially getting out of hand because after winning the Olympic gold medal in the 100-meter dash, we have not had the privilege of watching him race that much in 2025, just being honest. And yes, I get it. There are reasons why we haven't seen him that much on the track. But we have seen Noah Lyles, just not on the track. He's made appearances, he's done interviews, and most recently he went on Cam Newton's podcast show. When he did it, he made a whole bunch of comments because he was there for like 3 hours on camera, and I even responded to some of them because I had my thoughts, and I shared them. But this situation has continued to evolve because after he went on Cam Newton's show, which exposes him to a very large percentage of people who are not really track and field fans, Cameron, who is a rapper, but also has his own podcast show, decided to talk about Noah Lyles. When he did, Cameron shared some thoughts that I'm not even going to quote right now because really wouldn't be appropriate. Certainly not something that I feel like getting into. Long story short, he's not a Noah Lyles fan. And to give you the brief bullet points, he said that Noah Lyles isn't marketable. He said that track and field itself as a sport is not only not successful in America, but that it really doesn't have, there's no future for it in America. Like, stuff like that is what he says. But he says it in a very colorful way, which, hey, hide your kids, hide your wives. If you really want to see the clip, you can do it. And I had no intentions on making this video. This is definitely one of those moments. But the more I thought about it, I realized that the tirade that Cameron goes on, because there's a full segment where he's talking about Noah Lyles and, the situation, and should Noah Lyles have a signature sneaker? He thinks the answer is no. He's like, yeah, shut that down, but that's what Cameron says. And then you move on to, all of it. The clip that's about 5 minutes, like the tirade where he just kind of snaps and goes off, that clip already has over 500,000 views on what we used to call Twitter, but, the app that we now call X. That's just on one thing that was shared with me. It's also on YouTube, like it's on that platform, and you can find, some of the clips there too. But here is the key. Even though I don't agree with almost anything Cameron said, and certainly don't agree with his delivery, he does bring up a real conversation, and I get it. If 500,000 people want to climb aboard the bandwagon and want to comment on it, somebody needs to bring some facts to the party. So let's do it. Because Cameron is from Harlem, and so am I. I'm actually born and raised there. On the west side, I even used to hoop at Mount Morris Park. That being said, since Cameron is from Harlem as well, I might be able to say this in a way that could even make sense to him. I'm not bashing him or attacking him, because I hear everything he has to say. Again, I've already shared my thoughts, don't agree with any of it, but I hear it, so I'm gonna dignify it. But Noah Lyles also shared his thoughts, which is what got us in this discussion. So let's put it all on the table and have a real one. When Cameron is reacting to the Noah Lyles situation, should Noah Lyles have a sneaker? Or should he get a signature shoe from Adidas? Should track and field, will it ever thrive in the context of America? Again, I hear it. And this is how I translate it. Cameron is speaking for a large percentage of people who really don't understand the first thing about track and field. As far as Cameron is concerned, again, I'm not mad at him. I get it. I totally get it. Remember, I was born and raised in this situation. There was a time where I might have been the fastest kid in all of Harlem, like high school sprinters running, for whatever that's worth. I mean, maybe not all of New York City, one of the best in New York City, but definitely in that community, all the high schools in that neighborhood and who was from there, yeah, that probably wasn't me at a moment. But that's not the point. Track and field is not a big deal there. So when Cameron said that he doesn't care about track, what he's saying is him and his community, the people that he's around, don't care about track. The only time they see it is at the Olympic Games. He's not lying. I totally get that. I was around that culture. When Noah Lyles goes on Cam Newton's podcast, he's going to a platform where most of the people there don't care about track and field. So the people who are listening, he's bringing them into a conversation, inviting them into a community, if you will, or at least a doorway into it through whatever he's about to say. Because these are people who don't even know the Diamond League is a thing. Forget about the Continental Tour. They don't even know how USA's works or the Olympic trials, how you qualify for it or anything. They just know the games, specifically the 100-meter final. That's it. That's all they really understand. They basically think that you just kind of pop up there and run in the final, and then it's over. That's more or less what they think. And again, I'm not here to focus on all the details of what Cameron said, but if that's where a lot of people are, we do have to accept that that's where they might be starting the negotiations from. You don't really build any brand, track and field, and like a sport if it's trying to grow or the people in it. You're going to have people on that side of the ledger, and we need to honor that that's where they are. But the other side of this is when you say that Noah Lyles isn't marketable. That's a comment that he actually made. That right there, I mean, maybe not to you and that community and the people who are in it and people who don't care about track and field as a sport, care about other, that's fair. But Noah Lyles is marketable. Anybody who sees his social media channels, it's pretty clear that if followers are what you want, he got that. Everything from what he's been doing with, I believe he's on the cover of Essence and, again, all these things that are, he's clearly marketable. That's not a discussion. He is. That's just a fact, not an opinion. So when we talk about sneakers, because let's go there. You want to talk about sneakers and the whole whether he should have a signature shoe? Hey, basketball culture and shoes just go together. They do. It's been that way for a very long time now. Really, Jordan kind of unlocked that in terms of the whole signature shoe market. Noah Lyles is saying that nobody has really unlocked it when it comes to running, even though running is a sport that many people do. And a lot of running shoes are sold every single year. So there is a market to sell running shoes, even if it's not the same people who buy basketball shoes. Let's put that very clear. There is a market. If that market is real, Noah Lyles could sell to them. Again, no shade, we're just being honest. He probably could. You could use his name. So I think that's a valid argument on Noah Lyles' side. When it comes to basketball, I'm gonna just give you 2 names. I'll give you a bunch. Okay, fine, I'll give you 3 just so you think I'm not lying. Matthew Dellavedova, Jimmer Fredette, and Evan Turner. All of those men got signature basketball shoes. Not from Adidas, maybe not from Nike, but they had signature basketball shoes promoted with their name. That's basketball culture. People who had not even, weren't even close to all-star level. Some of them barely even survived in the NBA for but a few years. It's just the nature of where that sport is. The real conversation that was at the heart of all of this, at the heart of what Noah Lyles was saying, at least when it comes to track and field and where the sport should go and where it should, grow to be, maybe where his role is in that, is about pro track and field itself. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. Us as a track community, Noah Lyles said it, and I'm actually going to agree with him on this point. We do need to get our act together, because we got to realize where we are and where we're not. I am American, so I do think things from this perspective. So if you are international, shout out to all of you from Jamaica, Australia, South Africa, and everywhere else in the world who are watching me. And if you happen to make it this far into the video, trust me, I know that you're a real one, and I thank you for it. But I'm still going to just focus on the American context about how I'm going to say this. When we say the term professional sports, again, coming from America, we're thinking about an official league that has a product that is marketed and sold to fans. Track and field doesn't have that. What we have is World Athletics. World Athletics governs international competition, which is technically amateur competition if we want to be really, detailed about it. These are nonprofits. It's the reason why even with USATF, you can be watching television, and especially if it's an actual track event that somehow got on television, and you will see commercials that are advertising for you to donate money to USATF. I'm not making this up. Donate like it's a charity, because that's what they are. USA Track and Field is a non-profit entity, because the World Athletics, even themselves, is labeled as a non-profit entity. Regardless, if that's true, World Athletics, we don't need to beat up on them. I think we just gotta call them what they are. World Athletics does an amazing job at what their actual job is, which is to govern international competition. And they run international competitions. They even started compensating people to go to some of them, which is wonderful for the athletes. But at the end of the day, they're a nonprofit that's governing international competition. Guess what? They're not the only ones. FIBA governs international competition for basketball. That's the sport that was brought up in juxtaposition, whether it was, Anthony Edwards and his Adidas sneaker deal compared to Noah Lyles or whatever else we're discussing. FIBA does a good job. organizing and running international basketball competitions, just like World Athletics does for track and field, IAAF, all of that. Like, they do a good job. It's just not pro track. Pro track would be a league that has real guardrails that determine who is a pro, who isn't, how are we going to pay people, we compete in races that actually matter, and you make a name there, and you get paid to show up and compete. Track has struggled to ever have anything that actually looked like that. It's the reason why up until Grand Slam track, which is not perfect. I'll be the first one to admit it's not perfect, but it's certainly doing an amazing job in its current stage, in its first year, to take us forward as a sport. Like, just for what it actually is giving us, this is the most professional thing we've ever seen, and I believe it's only going to get better the longer that it sticks around. They're committed to growing it. But before GST, like everything up until this point last year, you had Diamond League and Continental Tour, and that was it. And those races, which technically World Athletics has some governance over, were just glorified practices, glorified scrimmages before we actually had the World Championship meet. That's all they were. Yes, there was some money to exchange hands. There might have even been some appearance fees and all that. And we can watch them and we can get invested in them because it's the best thing that we had to look at. But they're still glorified scrimmages. It's the reason why people say, oh, the only thing that matters is the Worlds. And in Noah Lyles' case, the reason why we're not seeing him compete much this year, because he doesn't have to. In the current ecosystem, two things have happened to Noah Lyles. One, there's no amount of money that's actually existing in the sport that can outpace whatever he can make in sponsorships, even close. That's true. And the only thing people care about in the sport up until now, again, up until this moment in history, which it might change in the future before we are, World Championships is allegedly all that matters. He has a buy to the World Championships in both of his primary events. He's going to be there regardless. He just got to show up and run. And if that's what people care about, it's the thing that if that's where the accolades, the attention, and his reputation is going to be built. He only has to get ready for that one moment. He doesn't even have to run another race. That's not those races, technically, if he doesn't want to. If he goes out there and has success, people will forget about the fact that he didn't run. I mean, collectively, like most people won't even notice. They'll just see him in the winner's circle and that'll be it. That is a flaw on professional track, because if pro track doesn't exist as its own entity, the same way that the NBA is not the only basketball league, there's a whole bunch of them. The Euro League, they have the Chinese Basketball Association, like there's a whole bunch of leagues around the world that play basketball. And players from those leagues represent their nations in FIBA-sanctioned competitions, which is something separate. NBA basketball is a product. It might even be a premier product, but it ain't the only basketball product. In track and field, when we talk about a product, if you're calling the Diamond League a pro product, you could do it. You could call it that, but you're already stretching the definition of what pro is, because they still let technically amateur athletes into those races. When I say technically amateur, I mean those who are even listed as NCAA. I've seen NCAA athletes on the starting line in a Diamond League meet. If that is true, and that's the closest thing you got, you are in a very weak state. That's just where you are. You don't have to agree at all with anything that Cameron said, and you also don't have to agree with anything that Noah Lyles said. But I do think that regardless of both perspectives, we should have the facts on the table. The facts are, the majority of the sports watching community, in America at the very least, has no concept about track and field. They don't know anything about the sport other than the fact that the Olympics happens. Some people show up wearing red, white, and blue, and they go out there competing for medals. Who they are, how they got there, what their journey is, what their regular season is, if they even have one, none of that makes sense to them. And Cameron apparently is in that number. So even if I don't agree with, and even if many of the things he said I think are just not true, like Noah Lyles isn't marketable, that's not true. But he's not marketable to Cameron and all the people that he potentially represents. And we still got to dignify that for what it is. And on the other end, when Noah Lyles wants to present himself as a brand and do things that will continue to advance that brand, it makes a whole lot of sense. Even if, again, you may disagree with things he said, how he may approach it, and I have my personal opinions and I've shared some of them already. But I do get that the current track and field landscape that he came into, like during his career, was incredibly deficient. there was little to no pro infrastructure for a young man who decided to forego college competition to compete as a pro track athlete, only to find out that pro track and field was not really a thing. So if we do need to say it, then just to get it out of the way, to be 100% honest about what we're doing here, pro track and field is trash, or at least it has been for a very long time. I do believe that can change. I do believe Grand Slam track is the biggest thing that is moving us forward in that direction. You could even give Atlo some credit for helping to move us forward in that direction. But we have to first admit that we have a problem in order to actually fix it. Cameron, whether we like him or not, is being honest that there's a problem, because the disconnect between where we are and what we're doing and where he actually is with his community, a community that loves sports, loves to watch it, and will even pay good money to support it, even when it comes to merchandise, doesn't understand track and field, and that's a shame. But I ultimately do believe that if an athlete as talented as Noah Lyles, and for that matter as marketable, goes out there to compete more in pro track events, specifically like Grand Slam track, that will help to move the needle so that people like Cameron will actually know what we're doing out here to begin with. In the sport of track and field, race day is honestly the easy part, because all of the real work gets put in when nobody is watching. When you wear every day is training day gear, you can let the whole world know that your success in competition is not an accident. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below, and it always comes with free shipping. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.